Hi, I'm Stuart. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Thanks for viewing my video. In this video, I'm going to do the mid-year freakout tag. I decided to do this tag after watching a video by Tia at CheckIn. I later saw a video by Pat at Book Chat with Pat 8668 where she tagged me in the comments. I'm just going to repeat what Tia and Pat said to properly credit the creators of this tag. Per Tia. Mid-year reading check-in, book tag, book recommendations book tag questions, created by at IsThatChami and at Earl Grey Books. Per Pat, the mid-year freakout was created by Chami, or at IsThatChami, a booktuber who no longer has a channel. Tian and Pat had slightly different prompts that they did, so what I did is merge them, and Tia had some extra prompts from at Katie Witt Ruck, and I did these too. So I did a total of 20 prompts. I'm also going to talk about where I am on the goals I established for 2024. The first prompt is the best book you read so far in 2024. That would be Diary of a Confused Feminist by Kate Weston, although possibly I should sit on that a little longer because I read it fairly recently. But at the moment, it is the best book I've read so far. The second prompt is the best sequel you've read so far in 2024. I've only read one sequel, Midnight Sun by Stephanie Meyer. It's hard to associate the word best with it. It was my only disappointing read of the year. It's actually not a sequel exactly. It's a retelling of Twilight, the original Twilight book by Stephanie Meyer. In this case, it tells a different perspective. The first one was from Bella's. Twilight was from Bella's perspective. This one's from Edward's perspective. I guess a big part of the disappointment was that I really loved the Twilight books. Prompt number 3 is new releases you haven't read yet but want to. I'm going to give 4. You Like It Darker by Stephen King. Rebel Girl, My Life as a Feminist Punk by Kathleen Hanna. Bride by Ali Hazelwood. And So Let Them Burn by Camila Cole. I own all 4 of these books in some form. The fourth prompt is most anticipated for the second half of 2024. There's a couple books I pre-ordered that, so I consider those my most anticipated. They are Long Live Evil by Sarah Reese Brennan and The Striker by Anna Huang, Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. There's actually some other books that I've pre-ordered too from Barnes & Noble. They're Barnes & Noble exclusive editions, but they're new editions of books that were previously released in 2023 and 2024. The fifth prompt is the biggest disappointment of 2024, and as I said previously, Midnight Sun by Stephanie Meyer is my biggest disappointment, and actually my only disappointment. The sixth prompt is the biggest surprise of 2024. That's Soulmates by Susan Lee. It's just a book that I picked up while I was in Target the last year or two, not really thinking anything about it. And the cover of it made it appear lighter than it was, but it actually had a great deal of depth to it. The seventh prompt is favorite new author, debut or new to you. That would be Kaylin Bayron. She's not new to me this year. Last year I read her book, You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight. And this year I read this Poisoned Heart. So it's really an author that I've read 2 books from in the last couple of years, new author anyway. And the books are very different. The first one is a really good take on the slasher, final girl, summer camp tropes. And the second one is a modern fairy tale retelling. So to me she showed she can do 2 different genres really well. They are both YA books. The eighth prompt is newest fictional crush. I really thought about this a lot, and I went through my books that I've completed this year, but I really don't have one. And looking back, I may have had fictional crushes when I was younger, but I don't remember it. I even try to think like what character I might be like, want to be like the old expression, if there was a man women want to be with, and a man other men want to be, or it could be a woman I want to be too. I wouldn't rule that out. But there's actually no one that I can think of even with that criteria. There's a lot of characters I like, but there's none I really want to be or be with that I can think of. And part of that may be, too, it got me thinking that very few books that I read or are even written are for people my age, and that's understandable. But there's just not too many characters that are even close to my age that are main characters. They're more likely supporting characters. The 9th prompt is new favorite character. I'm going to give 3. I really liked Sam in A House with Good Bones by T. Kingfisher. I really liked Molly Gray in The Maid by Nita Prose. And I really liked Kat in Diary of a Confused Feminist by Kate Weston. Number 10 is a book that made you cry. No book actually made me cry, but there are a couple of books that made me quite sad. First is Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zahner. That's her experiences dealing with the grief of losing her mother. And the second is Diary of a Confused Feminist by Kate Weston. That made me sad and angry, actually, because of the bullying she endured. I didn't endure bullying myself when I was back in school. And also another issue she dealt with, which I dealt with myself. I won't say what it is, it could be a spoiler. I wasn't in school when I did it, so I really identified with her, so I was sad and angry. Sad what she had to go through, angry with the way people treated her. Number 11 is a book that made you happy. Thought a lot about this too, and the book is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. And answering this prompt made me realize I don't read too many happy books. Many of the books have happy endings, but the stories themselves aren't particularly happy. I guess that's what I gravitate to. The 12th prompt is favorite book to movie adaptation. The only movie I saw this year is Saltburn. I checked and it doesn't appear that it was adapted from a book. I like the movie a lot though. And it also made me realize, well, it was a reminder too that I've gotten away from going to movies. I do want to get back to going to at least, maybe a movie every month or two, because I do enjoy them. I enjoy the whole experience. The 14th prompt is the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year received. And that book is The Art of War and Other Classics of Eastern Thought. It's a Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. And that's this book here. I really like red, so the fact that it's predominantly red. And the cover I like. There is a dragon. There's a dragon here. Even the gold color and gold edges. I haven't taken the shrink wrap off it yet, so I'm not sure what's inside, but possibly there's also some good pictures or maps or things of that nature. The 15th prompt is what book do you need to read before the end of the year? I picked 2. Bride by Ellie Hazelwood and Bunny by Mona Awad, simply because both of those books are quite popular and I want to see what the hype is about. I want to get away from having books in a long time that are really popular not reading because I learned stuff about them, which I have about these 2 books, but I want to get away from that. The 16th prompt is tag others. If you're watching this video, please consider yourself tagged. I'm not going to tag anyone specifically. If you'd like to do a video, please comment with that video in my comments. I'm sure I'd like to look at it. And if you'd just like to do one or more of these prompts in the comments, please do that too. I always enjoy reading other people's thoughts. Now I'm going to do the additional prompts by Katie Whitrock that Tia used. There's 4 of them. And I'm just going to use the number she had because it appears like she took those from a longer list. The number 1 prompt is, what books do you want to reread this year? I don't really plan to reread any books this year. In the past few years I did reread a lot of books. The reason I'm kind of getting away from that is that every book I reread is some other new book I can't read. And I do realize you can get more out of it and the experience will be richer rereading a book. But I just can't get away with the fact that it's another book I can't read. For that same reason, I don't usually watch many movies more than once, because every old movie I watch, or even really old movies, because every one I watch is some new movie I can't watch. I did previously read part of To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. Because it's been a long time since I read that part of the book, I do plan to reread that one from the start. So I am going to be rereading part of one book, but that's just because it's been so long since I read any of it. The fifth prompt is series you want to finish before the end of the year. I do want to read All Our Demise by Amanda Foody and Kristen Lynn Herman. It's a sequel to All of Us Villains, and those two books are part of a duology. So that's one I want to read. And I also want to go back and I also want to read the third book of The Hunger Games, which I never read, and that's preparatory to reading Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which I want to read the third book of The Hunger Games before I read the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. And I also understand there's another book coming in that series next year sometime too. So I want to read those books. The seventh prompt is, do you think you'll reach your reading goal, or are you going to change it? I'm at great risk of not reaching my book and page goals for the year. I'm going to talk about that a little later when I talk about how I'm doing 6 months in. And I also came up with a list of 40 physical books I own that I want to read this year. And I've only read 3 of those books, so I'm not doing very well, and I doubt I'll read all the remainder, considering there's 37 left, and I've only read 34 books as of the end of June. I'm not gonna change my goals. I'm still gonna leave them there because I established them at the beginning of the year. But I did decide to get a little less stressed about them. If I achieve them, I achieve them. But if I don't, I don't. And we'll see. I might back off on some of these goals next year. Make them a little more achievable. And then if I go over, that's great. But it's more achievable. But we'll see. I do have most of a half a year remaining to do them. As I said, I'm gonna talk more about these goals and my progress toward them toward the end of this video. And the eighth prompt is, any new goals for the rest of the year? I'm reinstating a goal I did have early in the year. It might have been late last year, early this year. That is to read down my currently reading list of books on Storygraph. I currently have 47 books and on that list, and I don't think I should be, keep picking up books when leaving all those books on there. So I do want to read that. I do want to read that list down. I doubt that I'll be able to do it the remainder of this year, but I would like ultimately to get it down to like 10 or so and keep it there. In some of the books I might have to DNF, but I need to try reading them and make that decision and get them off that currently reading list. Now I'm going to do my mid-year goal check-in. My goal for books completed this year was 90. I based that upon last year. I completed 78. I did 10% up, and then that rounded up to 90. I've completed 34 books as of the end of June, which means at that time I was 11 behind schedule. This goal appears in serious jeopardy, but we'll see. I also made a goal of reading 26,000 pages for the year. I just used the same percentage from 78 to 90 from my pages read last year. I don't remember what I read exactly. It was probably about 23,000. I read 11,683 pages by the end of June. This puts me 1,317 pages behind schedule. This also is considerable jeopardy of doing this by the end of the year. As I said above, I had a goal of reading 40 physical books that I own, and I've only read 3 of them. So this goal doesn't really seem achievable now, considering I read 34 books in half a year, and there's 37 books remaining on this list, and I'm not going to not read any other books than those on this list. I have read 11 physical books that I own this year. So going forward, maybe next year, maybe a better goal is to just say I'm going to read 40 physical books that I own instead of actually picking the books. That might be a better way to do it, especially considering how much of a mood reader and emotional reader I am. And the final thing is, in my goals, is, as I said in the last prompt, my answer to that one, I am reinstating a goal that I had late last year, early this year, of reading down my currently reading list on Storygraph. It's currently at 47. That's way too high. I want to read that down. Actually, if I do read some of those books down, it may help me get closer to my yearly goals of books and pages counted, because, especially books, because I will start in most cases where I left off, even if it's been a while. This is a goal that I know I won't be able to achieve this year, but I do want it. There shouldn't be 47 currently reading books in Storygraph, especially as I've only been on there about 2.5 years. As I said previously, if you would like to do these prompts in a video or in comments to this video, please do so. If you do a video, please leave a comment so I can take a look at it. I'd love to see your answers either way. Certainly any prompts or how many ever you want to do is great. As I said, Pat and Tia differed a little bit in the prompts that they did, so anybody can do whatever prompts they want. If you enjoy this video, please give it a like, please subscribe, please hit the bell to get notified when I upload future videos. Hope you have a wonderful day.